Hey everybody, I hope you're doing well today. Today is Friday and we are here concluding our week of devotions. And I'm so honored to have been able to be a part of this with you guys. And I hope you've been encouraged, and I hope this week has added value to you in some way, shape, or form. But today, as we conclude, I want to talk about something that is really near and dear to my heart. And maybe you've heard me talk about this before. I wouldn't doubt it because it's something I keep at the forefront of my mind. When we look at the story of Mary and Martha, and if you're not familiar with it, they're two young ladies who Jesus comes to their house and Martha's preparing a meal and Mary's sitting at the feet of Jesus and instead of helping Martha prepare the meal and prepare the house for the guest, and Martha comes to Jesus and says, "Hey Jesus, can you tell Mary to help me do all this?" And Jesus' response is, "Hey Martha, Mary's choosing the good part and I'm not going to take that away from her." And we read that story, I think, a lot of times, and we think that man, Jesus kind of just put Martha in her place. Doesn't she know, like, Jesus is in her house? Like, why wouldn't she be at the feet of Jesus? And like, Mary's this noble person and all of this stuff. And what I want to shed light on is that actually there was probably no one in the house that thought good of Mary sitting at Jesus' feet, because she was displaying selfishness. She was displaying what would look like to be inconsiderateness. That's not a word at all, but hopefully you get what I'm saying. She would appear to be inconsiderate of her guests. And so there's probably no one there that's like thinking highly of her for sitting at Jesus' feet, especially not Martha, who feels like she's left alone with all the work. And something that fascinates me is that Martha wasn't doing anything out of norm or wrong, and yet Jesus says Mary's choosing the good part, as though Martha's, what she's choosing is not the good part. And I think sometimes that's how we read the story. And what I want to shed light on is this idea that Martha was not prepared for the presence of the Lord. Therefore, she was not prepared to host his presence when he arrived. And so my question to you, and the question I ask, is, am I prepared for the good part? Am I prepared for the good part? Because I don't want to be unprepared to host his presence. And see, Martha wasn't prepared to host his presence. And therefore, when his presence came to her place of living, she wasn't prepared. She felt like she had to cook and clean and get things in order and do all of this stuff while he was there, and she was missing his presence. And so what I want to encourage you today is think about, am I preparing for the good part? Am I prepared for the good part? Is his presence the priority of my life? And I want to charge you and encourage you and challenge you to maybe shift things around in your life that don't need to be the priority. Shift things around in your life that would maybe that are good things and that are noble things and the things that need to be done, right? I think a lot of times we can say, like, I'm putting bread on the table, I'm paying the bills, I'm studying in school, I'm doing all these good things that I have to do and I need to do, but maybe our priorities are out of whack, and they've been misprioritized, or too much time has been allotted to certain things that are robbing us of his presence, so we're not prepared for the good part, and therefore we miss out on his presence. And there's a lot of times, I think I'm guilty of this, where I'm saying, God, your presence seems so distant at this moment in life, and shame on me, his presence is always around. He said he'd never leave us or forsake us. And so I believe that if I feel a distance to his presence, it's because I haven't prepared to host his presence. And that's what happened with Martha. She was not prepared for his presence. And we see Mary choosing to sacrifice the fact that there was no meals prepared, the house maybe wasn't clean, and that was going to be okay because she wasn't going to miss his presence. And so I want to encourage you today, Evaluate your life, evaluate your priority. Where's your time going, and how much time is going to those different things? And is the priority His presence, and are the other priorities centered around preparing for the good part? I love you. Be blessed.